Hi everyone, welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. It's a Leeds United special this afternoon on a fine Friday, sunny afternoon. So happy weekend everyone. And well, it's definitely a happy start to the weekend to my fellow colleague, Mr. Jason Booker. How are you doing, sir? You well?
Very well, my friend. It's a bit unfamiliar territory, me and you. We've never had a one-on-one, I don't think. But it's it's pretty cool, mate. And I'm buzzing. I don't know about you, but I cannot wait for the start of the Premier League. Like I'm literally so excited. I don't know. It's funny. Start of every football season, you get excited, you get ready for it. There's something about this Premier League season this season, even from I think those that are not following a Premier League team, that just are feeling excited about it. It feels like there's a bit of a shift, and there's going to be different stories and kind of pictures popping up throughout the season. So yeah, I'm super gassed for it, mate.
It helps when you're in it, Jay.
It does help when you're in it. I can't lie. I'm even excited by doing FPL at the moment. It won't last, but I'm gonna set it up after this.
Fabulous. So do get in touch with ourselves. Between me and Jay, we'll be on probably for the next half an hour or so. So do get tuned into West Yorkshire Football Show on Facebook, on YouTube, on X. Do share the link, get in touch with ourselves, fellow Leeds United fans and Premier League fans in general, and just football fans as well. So do keep us company for the next half an hour or so. Let's kick off, pardon the pun, with your new signing this afternoon, Jay. Can't go any further than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Now in a Leeds shirt, you've just seen a video. He said he looks mighty fine, don't you, now in the white, yellow and blue?
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, he's a bit of a good-looking lad, isn't he? So he makes it look good. Look. No matter the signing, I think any signing all almost comes with a certain amount of excitement around it. So whenever you get a new face through the door, and I'm a very, I would say, kind of aware Leeds fan. 12 months ago we were obviously in the Championship. Only a few years ago we were signing the likes of Pierre-Michel Lasogga in the Championship, or we were signing Lee Irwin, and I still remember Leon Constantine and the Enoch Shawonmis. Like, for me, signing a player like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, albeit while he's had injury issues, he's got a reputation of being a Premier League striker. He's somebody that was well sought after a few years ago. He's made 11 caps for England, scored 4 England goals. We don't sign England internationals all that often. Now, I understand that he's had a few difficult years at Everton with injuries, and he's played in an Everton team which has been notoriously negative under the last few managers. Have been in relegation battles. Dyche football isn't the most attractive for a striker to play in. I'm just aware of the fact that this is an established Premier League player that makes us better as a squad. And it's pretty clear through the noises that are coming out that he's not going to be the only striker, which was my concern when we spoke on Monday night, was that he was going to be the only 9, and then we were going to go at it with DCL, Pirot and Mecha. The noise is that that's not the case. DCL's the replacement for Mateo Josephs, who's gone out on loan. So I just think it makes a lot of sense, mate, and I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with it.
In terms of the squad as it is, we'll get into that. But focusing on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, we know as football fans, you just want to see your squad improve. Would you say Dominic Calvert-Lewin is an improvement on Mateo Joseph?
100%. I mean, the experience straight off the bat, he's at a good age as well. Like, people talk about him because of his injuries, like he's past his prime. He's 28-year-old. Like, if anything, we're getting him at his prime. He's probably not had the best spell during his prime years because of them injuries. A striker's prime doesn't come at 22, 23. So he's absolutely better than Mateo Joseph, and I would say, and some Leeds fans have been very revisionist with it. They're saying that we might as well keep Bamford and not sign DCL. DCL's miles above Patrick Bamford. But Bamford scored a decent amount of goals in one Premier League season, but the rest of that, Patrick Bamford's played in the Championship. He's a Championship striker. At his best, he probably is Premier League level, but Patrick Bamford's way past his best as well. He's 31 years old, is Bamford. He's past his peak, and he's had injuries. So I don't think they're even comparable, really. So for me, as a second or third choice Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think it's a great sign, and I think at his best, he could make that spot his own. He could definitely start week in, week out for Leeds if he gets fully fit. And on that, Daniel Farke's shown a bit of a thing within his time at Leeds of being able to kind of help these recovering injured players work back into full fitness. Look at Manor Solomon and look at Sam Byram. The amount of games that we've got out of Sam Byram, given his injury record, has been nothing short of miraculous, really. So yeah, I think it just makes a lot of sense.
You've got a backup here from Casse on Facebook, which has just got in touch. Thinks it's a good signing. Thanks for getting in touch. We have to keep him fit and have direct wingers to give him the service. And that's a very fair point, isn't it, Jay? But the blessing that you do have at Leeds is you do have direct wingers and he's likely to get service.
Yeah, and I think we've still got players to go out and get in them spots, the 10 and the left-sided winger, which we'll probably speak about one of them in a minute. But it's essential for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I would argue it's also essential for the other two as well, though. I think Perrault's got a bit more of a capabilities to drop into that 10 space, but you need to feed him in the right areas for him to have opportunities to score. And again, kind of contradicting what I've just said, but bringing it back into the way that we play, the number 9 within this system isn't really there to score goals. It's a byproduct of him being an attacker that plays within that area of the pitch. But the 9 is there to link the play between the wingers and the fullbacks. And our goals will come from the wings and the fullbacks. And I'm sure that, if Dominic Calvert-Lewin plays 30 games this season, he'll score 8 to 10 goals, in my opinion. So,
in terms of Calvert-Lewin getting up to speed, because let's be honest, I'm not too sure of his pre-season programme, but you'd suggest that he's not going to be properly up and running for the first game on Monday night, which we'll touch on in a little bit. When would you expect him to kind of get integrated with the squad and get match fit and maybe possibly starting on the bench, maybe second or third game and then easing his way through? Is that what you're seeing as a Leeds fan, or do you think it may be a little bit longer than that?
Rumours I've heard is that he's been training with the squad since Tuesday. I don't know how true that is, but I've got a few reliable sources within the club, so I would guess that is the case. I think I would be shocked if he's not on the bench on Monday, especially given the opponent in which we're playing. Now, whether he makes an impact in that game or not, I think just having him there is a bit of almost like a storyline. If it's 0-0 in the last 5 minutes, could he get thrown on up front? I mean, we don't know the pre-season that he's had, how much work he's had, how injury-free he's been since recovering from his most recent injury. But to kind of come to the crux of your question and answering that, you would imagine that it's probably going to take him a few weeks. And I don't think we need to worry so much about that, given the fact that we've got a fully firing Joel Perrault, who's had a really good pre-season, and Mecha, who is a top-flight proven player now. And during pre-season, he's also looked a handful as well. So Calvert-Lewin can be integrated into the squad slowly. Luke?
Just got a comment here from Tom. He feels it's a bit of a panic buy, considering getting a hammy injury again within a few games. Is that a little bit of a concern, Jane, in terms of his injury record? Is that something that, as a Leeds United fan, you've just got to kind of hope that he's over that, and with the medical staff at Leeds, he can manage his minutes and do what he needs to do as a number 9. And like you say, you've got the luxury of having potentially 3 strikers now in the club and maybe more coming in.
Yeah, I don't think it screams of a panic buy. That's the kind of deal that you would then do on the last day of the window because you've not filled out your squad. This strikes me as being a really smart signing. I think it's really rational. And I think the noises are very clear that we want 4 strikers. Even though we only play 1 up front, they're all a bit different. Perrault can play in the 10. Mecha can play out wide. I think whoever else comes in will probably be the out-and-out 9. I think they'll be the starting 9. And then it'll be for the others to kind of work their way in. I think Calvert-Lewin's an opportunistic movement. He was linked with Newcastle earlier in the window. He was linked with Manchester United as well. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's a well-established Premier League player. He's no mug. He's played, I think it's nearly 200 times at Premier League level. He's 28 years old. He's right at his peak. He's played 11 times for England. If it wasn't for his injuries, we won't be anywhere near the reckoning of the signing. So you have to kind of make some educated gambles from time to time. I made the exact same argument with Manor Solomon last season. Manor Solomon wouldn't have been anywhere near the Championship if it hadn't been for his injury problems. The reason that he was prepared to come to the Championship was other clubs weren't prepared to take the gamble at top level football, but we were right at the top of the Championship, and he made the difference. You know, so you have to take these educated gambles sometimes, and I'm sure the wages will, you know, again, he's a free transfer as well. We've not spent on him. The wages will fall in line with probably the rest of the club. So I just can't see that. And if he gets another hammy injury, then we have the resources within the other three strikers come the end of the window to deal with that.
Does it excite you as a Leeds fan, before we move on to other topics, getting somebody like Calvert-Lewin, who does have a proven record in the Premier League, he's got experience, he's worked his way from a non-league right up to the top tier now, he's still down at the top table despite the injury. So there must be something about him that's still very attractive to managers and clubs and teammates alike that are prepared to, in inverted commas, take a risk on him despite his injury record. Is it something that you're now looking at thinking, you know what, that's quite an exciting signing? It feels like there's a bit of a not a light at the end of the tunnel, but that expectation being in a Premier League has just lifted you up another tier.
And I think, again, you know, when we were in the Premier League last 2 and a bit seasons ago now, if we'd have signed Dominic Calvert-Lewin then, we'd have been buzzing. You know, if Bamford had gone out and we'd have signed DCL then at 25, we'd have been absolutely gassed. So I think, again, I'm realistic with where we are at. Sunderland wanted him as well. He turned Sunderland down to come to us. That is a signing that the newly promoted teams will be looking to make, because he has got the quality, he has got the experience, but the injuries have curtailed his career to a point where he's having to look a little bit further down rather than up. But a couple of years ago, the rumours, I'm sure it was 40 million quid to Arsenal only a few years ago from Everton. So I'm aware of where we are at. So for me, I think it's exciting. There's huge potential with him. He's still got time on his hands. He's not 31, 32. We're not signing that age of a striker where he's definitely going to be on the down. He actually needs this as much as we do. He needs this move to work for him, because otherwise the next step is going abroad or into the Championship.
100%.
So yeah, I am excited by it. I am. Like, it's not a sensational signing. It's not the big money move that a lot of Leeds fans would want, but I think it's an educated, smart signing.
Yeah. In terms of pecking order, then, because you think there's a possibility of Pirot going at 10 on some occasions when Calvert-Lewin's up and fit and match ready, do you think you see that from Farke, that Pirot drops into that 10 role, Calvert-Lewin plays as a 9, and then you've got, like I say, the luxury of wingers that you've got?
I could see it. I could definitely see it. I mean, bear in mind, in season 1, that was what he was adamant, Daniel Farke that is, that Joe Pirot plays the role of the 10. And it ended up being that Jorginho Rutter was the 9. And Jorginho Rutter, for me, isn't the 9. So he was never a 9. He kind of didn't have the option. He then went to Bamford. When Bamford got fit, Bamford came back and played as the 9 and Pirot was as the 10. Now, we saw last season that Farke had changed Pirot's place within the system. Brendan Aronson did a lot of his running for him to allow him to be a bit more effective in that area of the pitch. But I don't think Daniel Farke sees Joe Pirot as the out-and-out 9. So I think his game time could well be maybe a bit more sporadic, off the bench, in the 10 role, with one of these strikers in the 9. But it depends who we're playing against. I think in some games we will almost certainly set up with a more rigid 3 in the midfield, and we'll only have 1 up front, which is when you'll probably see Mecha come in or Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and we won't play with a 10 at all. So it could very well be horses for courses, and it can very well depend on who we get in the creative third of the pitch. Because at the minute, while we have direct wingers who can deliver a cross, we don't have a lot of natural flair creativity like a Manor Solomon.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think there's definitely an element of, like I say, he's got the luxury of having to potentially pick Calvert-Lewin and another or others in different scenarios for sure. And we can touch on that a little bit later. Thanks everyone who's managed to join us anyway. We've got some really good numbers already this Friday afternoon as the Sunshine sounds outside as the Premier League season is just about to start and we're all looking forward to it. So do keep your comments and views coming in on YouTube and X followers. Get your comments and like I say, we'll share what we can do as well. And don't forget, after this stream, Jay's going to try and be the masterman of the Fantasy Football Premier League for probably at least a couple of weeks. But do join in our fantasy team league as well, which is just running along the bottom using the code, which is GXH9ZH. We've shared that details on our X channel as well. So do join us, see if you can outsmart us. Listen, it's not that difficult really either to be doing that.
Last year, so.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Just a quick one before we move on. Solomon's got in touch as well. Maybe not the Solomon you really want, but all the best. Not a bad one. Afternoon. I can't see why we brought in an injury-prone player when we've been trying to get rid of Bamford due to his injuries and lack of being clinical. It seems insane. Reaction, Jay, to that?
I hear it. I do hear this angle, but let's just repeat through these points once more. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's I'm not going to say established because that's dramatic, but he is behind Harry Kane. You have to remember at a point there was a time where they were actually vying for the first spot. He's played 11 times for England and scored four England goals. He's played, I think it's nearly 200 Premier League games. Bamford's played one season, basically, and then got injured for the other two that we were there before. He's never been an established Premier League player. Bamford is also 3 years older than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin has shown a consistency to be more clinical over more seasons than Bamford has. I know Bamford had one good season in the Premier League behind closed doors. So I'd also argue that DCL is far better at linking play than Bamford is. I think Bamford's better at the press. And under Bielsa, Bamford was the perfect striker for Bielsa. But in this system, in the way that I think we're going to set up in the Premier League now under Farke, I think DCL is far more suited to the way that we're going to bring in the wingers, bring in the fullbacks. I also see the fact that he's fantastic in the air. Fantastic might be a little bit of a stretch. I think he's very good in the air.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, he's good at that. So, and you know, 6'2". We have clearly identified the fact that we want to up our stature in terms of the way that our physical attributes as a team. Anton Stack, Jacobiol, you know, the massive, Bornau, huge, Metcher, huge, you know, like Longstaff, even sizable midfielder. It's a different feel to the likes of Tanaka, Gruev. You know, Joe Rodon's terrible in the area from an attacking sense. Mateo Joseph was poor in the air. Bamford's not great in the air. Joe Perreault's useless in the air. So we've clearly identified the fact that we want to be more of a threat from set pieces, more of a threat being direct and being able to go about it in a slightly different way. I said to Brownie on a show the other week, Lou, that I think that some fans are going to have to get used to the football being a little bit stinky this year. Mm-hmm. I think that is definitely going to be, I think we're going to see a lot of 0-0s, a lot of 1-0s. You know, the goals scored in comparison, we scored 100 goals last year. We're not going to be anywhere near that. We're going to be working for one or two moments and keeping possession, but then looking to hit, I think, quickly, direct, get the likes of Dan James, Jayden Bogle, Gudmundsson, and then whoever else is going to play on the left in behind the striker. You know, Perreault, I think, will probably play a really effective role off the bench. I think he'll start on Monday, by the way, Perreault, but I think as a general rule, I think he will be effective off the bench. And I can see him scoring 10 goals this season, but I think it'll be in pockets where he comes on to influence the game in a slightly different way. Right. But it'll be interesting to see. It'll be really interesting to see. Yeah. Joe Perreault, I think, is a bit of an enigma this year. I think it'll be really interesting to see how he adapts to the Premier League.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And there's definitely opportunity for some of them players to step up, which we'll touch on a little bit later in the stream. So moving on from one that is definitely through the door, one that is talking to potentially walk through the door as well at Thorpe Arch is James Justin, versatile wing-back, full-back, being experienced at Leicester and the likes. Again, how do you see that one? Again, it feels quite a potential risk based on his injury record, but one that, you know, you're going to get a decent enough Premier League player potentially, and to give a cover, especially with injuries or suspensions to Gudmundsson and Bogle.
I think it's very similar to DCL, if I'm honest. I think it's a very, very similar signing. He's a Premier League winner. He's an FA Cup winner. He's, again, played nearly 200 times for Leicester in the Premier League. he's made an England cap as well.
Yeah.
But he's had a stage in his career where he's had injuries that have curtailed his development. So we're taking the opportunity to cover a problem area for us, because the out-and-out starters are going to be Bogle and Goodmanson. They're both very good, I think, Premier League bottom half full-backs. And I've been so impressed by Jayden Bogle since he signed for Leeds. So impressed. Like, I actually think he's probably our most important player that's available right now. I think we might sign one or two more that might become more important, but he's absolutely crucial to the way that we play. We really miss him when he's not available.
Especially and the second half as well.
Yeah. And the second half of last season, he was fantastic. He was arguably the best player from January onwards, him and Manor Solomon. So yeah, James Justin fills a really needed spot for us. He can play on both sides. Fans won't react to it in the negative way that they have Dominic Calvert-Lewin because of the position.
Yeah.
Because of the importance of the 9 in most people's heads, which I get, I do understand that. They're seeing this as being, this is a player that we're going to, not be able to rely on from time to time. I think Justin's exactly the same in that he's had injury problems. He's probably going to spend most of the time sat on the bench anyway, and he's going to be able to debutise properly should we need the cover for either side. But he's actually got the capabilities to be able to start games. If he plays well, he can play. He can play every week. He can displace Jayden Bogle if the full version of James Justin comes back, same as Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So,
yeah, I think there's an element to that, and I think you touched on it earlier, making a valid comment about the kind of players you're signing from the outside looking in. It feels like you're signing players who are potentially risky on the outside looking in because of the last year or two at their various clubs. But you're also signing players who have done a decent enough job in the Premier League where they're not going to feel out of place. But I think importantly, they look to me hungry and got a point to prove. You can throw Calvert-Lewin in there. Justin would be the same. Longstaff from Newcastle feels exactly the same as well. Not a new signing, but Dan James has got a point to prove in the Premier League as well, hasn't he? So you've got a lot of players now playing at a club where it's established, it's well known, it comes with all the bells and whistles around it. But there's an expectation that you'll survive, as well as that is to progress. And I think that's one thing that this feels like it's a bit of a stepping stone for you guys. If you're able to stay in the division, that you can build a bit of foundations of Premier League and then evolve. But your remark about the likes of Longstaff and Perot, etc., being a bit more physical than the likes of Tanaka, I don't know, how do you feel about that? It feels definitely for me that the Premier League, despite it being probably a little bit slower, is definitely a bit more technical, and even physicality-wise, is a lot stronger in it than the Championship.
100%. I mean, you think of the likes of Josh Brownhill at Burnley. Who else played alongside him now? Laurent, who was at Stoke. The Burnley midfield that we were competing against as being the other best team in the division. You compare that to the likes of Newcastle's midfield, who I've openly said I think is probably the best midfield three in the division. I think they're definitely in the top three. It's apple and oranges. There's such a huge gap in that physicality, and I think you can see it in the recruitment that Sunderland have made as well, in the likes of Granit Xhaka. It's been clear how they've wanted to go about their business as well. You see it all the way through the Premier League. They're physical specimens first, and the technical ability is obviously there as well, but the physicality is so much higher. So yeah, I think it's clear that we've wanted to make sure that we establish ourselves as being able to compete physically first off, and then the technical ability will hopefully come with it. That's why the likes of, think of players like his name's just avoided me. West Ham centre midfielder who played for Cecchiate.
Oh yeah.
He was linked with us last season, and we signed Gulavogi in the end. Cecchiate was never a fantastically technically gifted player, but his physical attributes made up for all of that. And the Premier League, I think, is full of them. Doucouré at Everton.
Yeah,
especially in the centre of the pitch, being able to get up and down the pitch and being able to be aggressive and, first to the ball, hard to beat. Them kind of players are really important. And, you look at a midfield of Gruev, Ampadu and Tanaka. We didn't have them last year. We had Ampadu's got a bit of that, but more really, it's technical. We just were far superior technically. That's not going to be the same stepping up.
I think you're right. For me, the biggest step up is that athleticism between the Championship and Premier League. Like you say, you've got certain characters who could do okay in the Championship, but actually probably thrive in the Premier League because of the athleticism. I think, especially when you've seen it before, watching Premier League games, even on TV and going to live matches, you watch them and it's on a different planet, isn't it? And I think those signings that you are getting in, yes, the likes of DCL have been slightly injured, but they're on a different physical athleticism level to some of those that you may have attracted if you were still in the Championship, and you have done in the past. That's just the pecking order in how it works. We just got a comment here from Skip. I know he's one of your usual followers. Thanks, Skip, for joining in. If we bring in another number 9, then I think DCL signing will be a good second or third backup striker and get him on a free. Quickly as well, and I know we'll touch on it. Do you think Bijol on Monday could be a problem for us? If you want to answer that, Jim, then we'll go into the rest of the incomings and Monday night.
Yeah, just on recruitment, just to finalise on that, I think only time will tell whether we have made good moves. But I think in comparison to, what we've done in our previous reincarnations of the Premier League, I think this feels smart. It feels sensible. It feels with purpose and with a direction rather than just, they were all right. Yeah, let's just sign him. So, thanks, Skip, for the comment. I think that's exactly how I see DCL. I think if we sign another 9 that is going to be the out-and-out number 1, number 9, and we're hearing reports of the Greek lad from Panathinaikos, Ioannouis, I think is how you pronounce it.
All right, okay, yeah.
That sounds like it's gaining a lot of traction. Scored a lot of goals for Greece, scored a lot of goals for Panathinaikos.
Yeah, he scored against England, didn't he?
Yeah. He scored 2 against England, yeah. DCL then will be allowed the time to build the fitness back up and make an impression when he gets the opportunities. The pressure won't be so much on him then. And if it does work out, we could end up with an absolute handful on his hands again, because Dominic Calvert-Lewin has got a lot of Premier League experience and Premier League ability. So I just think it makes, like I say, a lot of sense. As for missing Bijol on Monday, I mean, everybody that watches this show and watches me knows how I feel about Pascal Schroik. I don't make any bones about it. And I think time has proven that I've been right time and time again. I think as a centre-back, I just think he's got so many flaws in the way that he reads the game, his concentration levels, his decision-making. I think he's got... It's funny, talking about physical attributes. I think he's got all the physical attributes. He's quick. He's strong. He's great in the air. I mean, he's by far our best header of the ball. So I understand his positives, but his weaknesses, I think, will get exposed even more in the Premier League. The amount of times I think players will run behind him will be scary. And, I think we'll get a test on Monday in that department, because Pascal's going to have to play with Bijol being suspended. Yeah, I think it could be a problem, especially with the likes of Ndiaye running in behind. If Grealish plays floating in and around them, Pascal's really guilty of kind of pressing into that number 10 and leaving massive spaces in behind. And I don't think his ball playing abilities, which people just talk to me about all the time, are anywhere near what they actually are. That people throw stats at me with him all the time, and they're made up by 5-yard passes or passes into the midfielder that aren't well received. So it's making the midfielder stretch, but it's kind of getting received on his stat sheet has been a good pass. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to him playing much less. But unfortunately, he has to start on Monday.
In terms of just one more that he's kind of been rumoured from a Leeds United angle before. Again, we'll jump into that Everton game on Monday night. Corey from AC Milan, he's been linked, rumoured that the usual stuff is going around. With only 2-3 weeks away from the end of the window. Previously been at Basel, Salzburg, AC Milan, played a number of appearances, and I know played a few times at Napoli as well. That's come out of nowhere, hasn't it, really, Jay, that one?
Yeah, he's had a bit of a long-standing link with Leeds as Okafor. So Okafor was actually due to sign for us in the summer that we got relegated. The deal was already done.
Okay.
The contract was already agreed, and it just needed us to stay up, and we obviously didn't. But he was already basically through the door. So Red Bull connections there as well, which obviously we have done a bit of business with them, and now the leading sponsor. He it's come out this week through other content creators. Shout out to Joe, who's a really, really good content creator. He knows he's coached a Portuguese youth international that is linked to Okafor via the family. So this particular person and Okafor were together at the Villarreal game. At the AC Milan game.
Okay.
Which obviously Okafor played on the left-hand side against us. He was then seen afterwards talking to Daniel Farke. Conversations and negotiations, I think, with the player have probably already gone all the way down the route.
Okay.
I think it's just negotiating a contract with terms with the club.
Right.
Not Basel. Bologna had a £15 million bid rejected yesterday for Okafor. From what we're hearing, we are his preferred destination, but there are another 2 Premier League teams interested, along with Bologna and then 2 Saudi teams as well.
Okay.
So there's going to be a fight for his signature, but I think if we want to make it happen, we can. And I think then the second alternative to that will be Mr. Manor Solomon. I think Manor Solomon has now kind of put himself into the backup spot for that signing, because he was quite open with the fact that he wanted to go back to Spurs and fight for his place. Thomas Frank was open to that, saying that he'd seen him last season. He's then not played at all during pre-season. Now Thomas Frank's made him available for transfer. So I think if Manor Solomon had kicked the door down for a move to Leeds on day one of pre-season, I think that had probably already been done. But since then, we've moved on. So, yeah, exciting one. I really like Okafor.
I was going to say, what do you think to it? It feels like, it's come from nowhere, but it's definitely something that can give you that creativity, which I know you've said on your shows and on a Monday night show that you just feels a little bit lacking at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, good on both feet. Really likes to cut in from the left-hand side. He's athletic. He's tall as well. He's not a nippy, dynamic winger. He's 6'2". So he's got a little bit of something about him. I mean, I've seen him a few times before the AC Milan game in Dublin. He was brilliant. He was arguably the best player in the first half. I think he set up their goal, if I'm not wrong, or he had the pass that led to the assist. I like him. I've really liked him before he went to Milan. I think he's got a big reputation, certainly throughout certain parts of Europe. 20-odd caps for Switzerland, and Switzerland are no mugs either. I like it. I think it makes a lot of sense, and it'd be a bit of an X-factor signing for us. I think he's better than Ramazani and Nonto where they are right now. I would argue he wouldn't be in competition with Dan James, but technically he's better than Dan James.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it'd be a really, really good signing.
Would you suspect that if Okafor did come in, would that mean he would be as well as what you've currently got, or would you potentially see one in, one out?
Great question. It's a great question. Is that because we have also got Mr. Jack Harrison that nobody wants to talk about?
I didn't want to say about that, but yeah.
Yeah. I think, Lou, it will be, and I know somebody else mentioned this on content creation the other day, so I don't want to kind of piggyback on the back of it, but I'm going to say it because I agree with it. I see if Okafor comes in that Ramazani will go out on loan.
Okay.
Because Ramazan is already not playing. Jack Harrison is in front of him. Nonto's in front of him. Dan James is in front of him as well. I think Nonto can play on the right more than Jack Harrison can. Even though for 2 seasons, Jack Harrison's pretty much played predominantly on the right-hand side for it. I don't really know why, because Jack Harrison's, I would say, best attributes are being on that left foot, whipping balls in. His left foot delivery. Yeah, he's good. He's got a good delivery with his left foot. I never liked him when he came in off the right. I mean, Bielsa very rarely did it. Very, very rarely did he play Harrison out there. It was usually Helder Costa and then Harrison on the other side. So, yeah, I think Ramazani is already kind of been kicking and screaming for minutes. If then another left winger comes in, because Ramazani is out and out really the left-hand side, when does he play? Because Nonto's in front of him, Harrison would be in front of him, and then Okafor would be in front of him as well. So apparently the club had an offer from Greece for a loan move for Ramazani, and Ramazani turned it down earlier in the window, which tells me that the club were open to letting him go out on loan, but he didn't want the move.
Yeah.
So be interesting to see.
Could you, I mean, I'm saying ideal scenario, could you see Okafor and Solomon joining?
I doubt it. I very much doubt that, because I think unless Jack Harrison ended up getting a move to Everton, which still won't kind of go away.
And it probably would have happened by now, you'd have thought.
So. I think if Harrison moved out, then maybe we'd get 2. but it doesn't feel like we will get two in that place. It feels like we will probably get a winger, a creative midfielder that can maybe play 8 and 10, and then Justin as the fullback. I think once Okafor, let's just say, for example, Okafor and Justin are through the door, we'd then be in a situation where we'd be looking at the 9 and the 10. Ionis, if he comes in, or another, and then, we've been linked with Bilal El Khanous. I think he will end up at Palace, from what I'm hearing. Eze to Spurs, Khanous in for Eze as a replacement. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And I think truthfully, we're probably a step behind El Khanous at the minute. It's probably a stretch target. I think his reputation throughout the Premier League is still that he could get a good move to Palace, Bournemouth. These teams that will be expecting to finish between 10th and 14th.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think he was linked with my club Newcastle, wasn't he? But I think with Jacob Ramsey coming in the door, that probably shuts that one on him as well. So yeah, I think, and if that release clause is to believe from what was beginning of the week, you'd expect somebody to snap him up. It feels like it's not a bargain at 22.5 million. I wish I had 22.5 million in my back pocket as a bargain, but it feels in this world, this crazy transfer market is exactly that, doesn't it? So
I can't see him being a Leicester come the end of the window. I can't see him being a Leicester come the end of the window. I think that I'm just throwing this out there before we do move on, but there's another name that hasn't been spoken about too much, but Gustavo Hamer at Sheffield United. I can't believe that he's going to finish the window again in the Championship. It feels like a bit of a risk, given the fact that he didn't do great at Premier League level, but then he was in a terrible Sheffield United side. I just feel like there might be something with Hamer before the end of the window for Leeds. We were obviously majorly linked with him 12 months ago, and it nearly happened. So we've been told. I can just see that one potentially happening, and then maybe somebody like Brendan Aronson going out on loan.
It feels like it's something on the last day of the season, doesn't it? Or it's agreed and ready for January. Don't feel like it's going to be done very quickly, is it?
No. It's a weird one. I mean, I am stunned that he's still there. I'm stunned that Burnley have not gone in and made it happen. Well, maybe they've tried and maybe he's turned it down. I don't know. You don't know, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes in these. So
yeah. Especially with Sheffield United not having a great start to the season, that could influence his decision as well, couldn't it? For sure.
They massively overachieved last year. They massively overachieved. They shouldn't have been anywhere near it, I don't think. I said it all year. Wilder, I don't like him, but I think he found a bit of a remedy to get to stink wins. They were winning 1-0 even though they didn't deserve to win a lot. And I think they got found out right at the end of the season, right at the kind of crutch moments. It caught up with them, but their quality on paper was miles off, I think, us and Burnley.
Yeah. No, I think that's definitely fair. Magic, thanks, Jay, for that. We'll just remind everybody, do keep in contact with ourselves on the West Yorkshire Football Show YouTube and on X. Do follow us, do subscribe to our channel. All your subs are massively appreciated. As normal, throughout the course of the season, we are bringing you all the latest action from across our region, as well as features on newly promoted Bradford City. Huddersfield Town seem to be doing all right at the moment, but how long that lasts, we'll find out. Obviously, non-league scene as well, but obviously for you guys who are watching this predominantly, it's the focus on the Premier League season. Believe it or not, it's either 25, 26 seasons. So do keep your comments in. It's great to see some of you join in. Gary sent a couple of comments in. JJ, and we can send Smith to I'm guessing, Werder Bremen, and also Melier to Como. 5 million is the talk.
Yeah. And we'll get Skip's comment in as well before we move on.
Yeah,
round up Everton, but yeah, Melier. I've been really kind of defense heavy of Melier over the last couple of weeks of streaming, because now that he's going and I don't have to have his goalkeeping abilities inflict my team anymore, I'm choosing to remember the good moments with Melier. He came in at a time where Kiko Casilla was throwing everything in and then got in the trouble that he got in. He was a very, very young goalkeeper when he came in and helped us get promoted. He was then the outstanding rookie goalkeeper of the year, beat Joe Hart's clean sheet records for a rookie goalkeeper in his first season in the Premier League. He was then let down by the club. he was let down by the club. I've said this time and time again in that we didn't recruit defensively. We were all over the place defensively for 2 years, and his confidence was absolutely shot to bits. Not to mention the fact that we then sacked his goalkeeping coach, who was, proved to be not very good, and he regressed. Like, no player chooses to regress in the way that he did. The club was as much to blame for that as he was.
Yeah.
So he's still made, again, a couple of hundred appearances for Leeds United. No player that makes 200 appearances for my club is going to be booed out of the door or hounded out of the door when it comes to the fact that he needs to move on. We've signed a goalkeeper in Lucas Perry that's going to really elevate us on in that position. But fond memories overall for me for Ilan, and a 2-time championship winner. And that's, good luck to him. I hope he now goes to Como and smashes it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
he's done a job when you absolutely needed him, for sure. So Skip, I was just going to say, Skip's comment leads us perfectly into our next segment of this afternoon's show. So Skip, hearing a lot of talk on social media about Everton being a must win on Monday. For me, it's crazy. If we get 4 to 6 points from Everton, Arsenal, Newcastle, Wolves, Fulham, that'd be a huge bonus. Let's talk about Monday night. So you've got to wait, guys, until all the weekend's action starting tonight, beginning with Liverpool, Bournemouth, Saturday's, Sunday's fiction, and then you guys have your 15 seconds of fame in front of the cameras under the lights at Ellen Road against Everton, who, listen, we know that finished the season really well. Actually, in fact, under David Moyes, we spoke about some of the recruits with the likes of Grealish, Riquelme and Dive, which I think is crucial. How do you see Monday night going, Jay? Skip says about being a must-win on Monday. It does feel quite premature, but it feels like it could be a nice little, marker to say, actually, we mean a bit of business here.
I think it is crazy, but I also know why people would say that.
Yeah.
Because of the run of fixtures that we've then got thereafter, because we've got Arsenal and Newcastle back-to-back on the back of that. If we lose against Everton, there's a very real possibility that we get to the end of game week 3 and we're on 0 points. And already Daniel Farke's going to be under pressure, and already fans are going to be screaming blue murder. So I understand, I think from a Daniel Farke perspective, it possibly could be a must not lose.
Okay.
Just because of what I've just said, like the fact that we could then very rarely get to the end of game week 3 and be on 0 points, some fans will already be out with pitchforks, because that's what some of the Leeds fan base is like.
Yeah.
So I understand. I don't think for the club it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it for our safety and survival in the Premier League it is. But I think for Daniel Farke, it's essential that we get something from Monday night.
Gives him a leg up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gives him something to start with. Game week 1, he's got something on the board. We are going to be up against it this season. I think I'm very confident in the fact that we can survive, especially with a couple more additions. Monday's going to be tough. Yeah. I think we're getting him at a good time. Grealish is not going to be fully up and running. No. And he's going to be, I think, really key to how successful they can be this season. Barry's going to take a bit of time to adjust to the Premier League. Beto apparently has got he's had conflicts with David Moyes this week. Jared Brathwaite is out. He's going to be injured, and he's definitely going to be out for 4 weeks. Mikolenko apparently is going to be out as well, which is going to see a weakening to their back line. Tarkowski and Michael Keane, while being an experienced centre back pairing, it's not great.
You got to challenge him, haven't you?
Yeah, it's not a great defensive lineup. And then I think they've got a youngster that they've just signed at left back, and the new lad at right back. So it's going to be a makeshift back line anyway, is the point. They've had a bit of a transitional period in the summer themselves. I think they had 9 out of contract players. They've lost a lot of experience. So it's a good time to get them. And I think Ellen Road under the lights, first game of the season for Leeds, obviously. Monday Night Football, I think the atmosphere will be absolutely banging.
Yeah,
it should be. And if I'm in an Everton position, I would have wanted many other games other than this one.
Yeah.
Like, they could have definitely had an easier start to the season. I hope that's not famous last words, but that's how I feel about it. And I think we will come out of it with 3 points.
Okay. Yeah. How do you see? How is that going to come about, then, in terms of, if you think we're going to get 3 points, how do you see Farke and the boys doing that and going about the business? Because, it's going to be potentially, again, famous last words, pretty tight. We know that Moyes is very stubborn. He's very disciplined and organised with his teams. Yes, they've had quite a bit of a change around in personnel. How do you see Leeds going about the business to get the job done?
I think it'll be tight. I don't think it'll be a great game to watch at all. if I'm honest. I really don't. I think it'll be a bit of a snooze fest. But I can just picture a 1-0 win or a 2-1 win, really, really tight. I think set pieces are going to be huge. I think the performance of our goalkeeper this season is going to be massive. I think Lucas Perry's got a huge, huge job to do for us this year. And I believe that for any recently promoted side, I think Nick Pope at Burnley for years was just an unbelievable rock behind that back line. Kept him up, didn't he? Kept him up time and time again. And there's other examples towards the bottom of the division over the years that have been the same. I think he's going to be absolutely massive. So,
do you trust him to do that job, Jay?
I do. I mean, I don't know loads about Lucas Perry, if I'm honest. I know who he is as a football nut. Like, I know what he's achieved, but I can't say that I've watched loads of him as a goalkeeper. I know he's got a massive reputation for having a huge punch, and I know he's a bit eccentric. Like, I think he'll be coming and claiming crosses. I think he won't care who's in front of him. I think he'll be proper old school come through players to claim balls. From what I've seen of highlights, I think he's athletic and capable of keeping us in games that we shouldn't be. I think you need one of them keepers. You desperately need one of them keepers.
Especially where you potentially might be during the season. You've got somebody who's got to be confident in their own ability, and you might miss and flap at a few, but at least if he's determined to keep doing that, at least the defence know exactly he's not going to stop doing that. I think the worst thing is a goalkeeper being on the line. It must be so infuriating.
You can't have a keeper that gets in their own head. And Ilan has had that for the last 3 years. He's been in his own head with regards to his own abilities and his own performances. You can see it on him. I think keepers have to be able to make a mistake and just get on with it as if it didn't happen. I think Cal Darlow's somebody that me and you both experienced as our keeper. Cal Darlow made a massive mistake at the back end of last season where he came out and handballed the ball out of the box. But the second it happened, he was back on his line. He was instructing everybody. He knew he'd made a mistake, got a yellow card for it. Could have cost us a goal. And I can't remember who we were playing. I was there because I was stood right behind it. Can't remember the game, but we ended up going on to win the game. And from the second that it happened, it was like it didn't for him. He just got on with it.
Yeah.
So
it's league mentality, and that's the difference between those who are good or average and those that are capable of handling that pressure for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
So, Jay thinks we're going to get 3 points on Monday night. Do you guys think so? Do keep in touch with ourselves. We've got a couple that have already come in. Let's see what the guys have got to say. Gavin, again, thanks, Gavin. 2-0, Harrison in DCL. I mean, that's written in the script, isn't it?
That'd be salt in the wound stuff with that. With Jack Harrison, I'm totally over it, mate. I am literally totally over it now. I just see it as being a experienced Premier League player that's going to make part of this squad. The fans will get it out of the system on Monday night. They'll boo him. We'll get on with it. He'll score at some point and they'll be over it. I genuinely think that's how it'll go because that's how fickle we are.
Listen, I was just going to say the words taken out my mouth for sure. Again, we've got a comment coming in here from 78 RPM Saviour, Ampadu, Stack, and whoever else starts in the free needs to dominate physically in midfield from the first whistle. I think they will, and we'll win 2-0. 2-0 seems quite
what do you think, Luke?
I think it's a good opportunity for you to really get off the market. I think it's a good challenge for you for sure. I think the signing of DCL helps just gain a little bit of morale across the ground. I know there's going to be an indifference between it, but I think just to get another striker in subconsciously gets people a little bit excited, whether you like him or not. It feels like you've got another option. I think your signings so far have been steady. I mean, I know we talked about it, didn't we, after the stream on Monday, where I think if you got a couple in, I would say you're safe. I don't want to have pitchforks at my front door. I think you definitely need them coming in just to be absolutely sure. I still think you're teetering on the edge a little bit. And that's not being disrespectful at all. I just think, the likes of Justin will help. I think DCL's a solid signing. That's the kind of signing I were talking about on Monday, weren't we?
Yeah.
I think I could see it being 1-1. But otherwise, I think if you win, I think it's a nice little boost. But if you lose, it's one of those that you can look at. And I think you'll be disappointed if you don't get something out of the game. But it's also one where you know what the marker is to go and be, because Everton are probably going to be not far away we spoke about this, didn't we, just before we went live? We don't think we're going to be terribly far away from relegation zone. We've probably just got maybe enough, but you're going to catch them at a good time, like I say. Brantford, Malenko, either their first choice defenders missing. Grealish will not be up to speed. He might get 10, 20 minutes. You feel that getting somebody him on loan, they've got to build a squad around him. Well, they haven't been able to do that. Yeah. Ndai is a very good player. You've got to keep him quiet. I agree. I think Beto and Barry are okay. Are they going to set the world alight? Probably not. If they had, they could easily play with DCL up front, and it would probably be just like for like, let's be honest. So I think it's going to be tight. I watched Everton to last game of the season up at Newcastle, and they were very organised, even though Newcastle played to play for, but they were very solid and disciplined. But I think if Leeds really got at Everton and really stuck it on them and just left it, if you had Boot in and there for the first 5-10 minutes, I don't think Everton would like that, considering the personnel they're missing. So for me, I think 1-1. But if you sneaked it 2-1, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it'd be a really good start to the season, personally.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything that you said, mate. And I'd even agree with I think I even answered this question on either Monday night or last week. I think this squad as it is right now finishes 17th or 18th. That's how I feel about it. I wouldn't argue with anybody that said either way, but I can't see it finishing much further than fourth bottom. Whereas if we were to sign a striker, a winger and Justin, I can see it having the ingredients enough to get them points that we need over the line to see us finish on 40 points, which would probably put us about 15th or 14th.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. Gavin just got in touch again. Apparently, Moyes Press sounds like Grealish would start. I'm going to side with you guys on this one. I think if Grealish starts, I think you stand a chance, and that's not being disrespectful to Grealish, but I think because he's not had a full pre-season as belt at Man City. And he's going to be coming in, he's probably going to go on adrenaline a lot, and we're going to look to use him a lot. I think actually you probably want him to start. I don't know about you, but I think it'd be an ideal scenario for you if he did.
I know what you said. I know exactly what you're saying. Like, he's not going to be ready, and it could end up being a bit of a backfire. At the same time, could it be a debut moment? Kind of, it could go either way. It definitely could go either way.
So just before we wrap up, a couple of things. So obviously, you've spoken about what you think could potentially happen. Do you see anything happening potentially between the transfer window, between now and the transfer window? And how do you see, hypothetically, it's hard to say it because even though we've not kicked a ball in anger and there's still plenty to go yet, you think at this moment, if this squad finishes 17th, if you were able to get the players potentially that you mentioned in, you're thinking what, maybe 14th, 15th, maybe higher?
I think so. I think there's a lot going on towards the bottom end of the Premier League this season. Again, one of the reasons why it makes it so exciting and interesting. I think Burnley, if I'm being honest with you, I think they're dead before a ball's even kicked. Because, you've got to have 3 teams go down, right? And whether they finish 18th, 19th or 20th, they ain't going to finish above that. They're just not. I think they're so far away from it. I'd argue that they've even lost their best player in Josh Brownhill. I don't know where he's got, but... I don't know if
I've not seen it either.
Free transfer. I think it still might be free. I think he was linked with going back to China. I think he was linked with Leicester,
To Leicester, I heard that one as well, yeah.
So, I just don't see how they've got enough. I know they've made a couple of all right signings, Kyle Walker, but how far behind is Kyle Walker now from where he was? And then, I look at some of the changes throughout the division. I know Bournemouth are going to recruit, but right now they're talking about a whole back line. Zabanye and remind me his name.
There's Samania, there is Huyson,
who's gone to Madrid.
Kirkes has left as well. Kepa's left.
Yeah. I mean, that's 4 of a massive 5 of what made that team. And they were all elite players, and I like all of them, especially Zabanye. I think Zabanye is a real player. So, you can't just replace that. Especially at the short notice that they had. I mean, they've not replaced him as of yet. They've still got to buy. Then Otaro's going out as well. I don't really rate him to the level of 42 million that Brentford are paying. But the point is that they are in transition. Brentford are obviously in a huge transition. I can't see any world in which they're not in and around the bottom 3 all year. I think West Ham are going to be in and around it as well. They've lost Kudus and not really replaced him. There's rumblings that they're not particularly happy there with. Potter needs to prove himself and he's still struggling to do so. So we've got these teams to go at to be able to actually close that gap. We're not looking at 17th and seeing Spurs. this year. We're not.
No, I'd even argue, in some respects, for you guys, I don't see the likes of Brighton doing as well as what they've done either.
Yeah,
I think there's an opportunity for one of those to maybe slip down a pecking order. Fulham were decent enough last year. You know, I mean, you only have to look. I mean, even I think was it Crystal Palace, despite the season that they had, I think finished 11th, 12th potentially. Yeah. You know, from so that's the traffic jam you've got to contend with. And even though there's been that, we've spoken about it in weeks gone by, with that thing of the 3 promoted teams getting relegated, all that jazz. But it feels this year that there is, like you said, targets to be shot at.
Well, I think 40 will be a points target that actually you need in and around that to stay up this year. Whereas last year, I think you could have stayed up on 27.
27 or something,
something like that. I think it'll be closer to another 10 points on top of that. Because the bottom 3 are going to be so much more competitive, especially us and Sunderland. I think us and Sunderland are going to give it a real go. I mean, Sunderland just carry on. They just carry on making signings. I mean, they've just signed Mukiele today from PSG.
How?
Yeah, I know they had a lot of PSR wiggle room. I feel like they've kind of taken the same approach that Forest did, and they've just thought, balls to it, we're going for it.
Yeah,
and we'll see what happens. You know, they're not punishing these teams in the way that they should. If they'd have done that with Forest and Everton, we'd have still been in the Premier League. We'd have never got relegated in the first place. So you know, when that's being set as the yardstick for the way that they treat cheating, the teams are going to carry on doing it. So and I think with something I've said this before, and I feel like they've made some decent enough signings, but with them potentially going to AFCON, and if the tough gets going and isn't being at all disrespectful to the players, I would question of whether they can maybe handle that pressure of the Premier League. You know, if you potentially lose 4 or 5 on a bounce, which can absolutely happen in the Premier League before in a blink of an eye, it's harder to react to that. And I think more, I'm not just saying it because we're on the stream now because I'm here, but I feel like you've got a little bit more resilience about yourself in the players that you've signed. You know, the likes of a Longstaff, Stack, you can throw DCL and potentially Justin in there, etc. They know what it takes to get out of a sticky patch. You know, and some of them have been in the Premier League with you guys before. You know, they've been in that Championship where it's been tough and you didn't get out when you should have done or wanted to do. So, you know, you can overcome tough times where some of these are coming into a brand new country, brand new environment with an expectation already. As crazy as it sounds, when you near enough blitzed that league ahead of Sunderland, and now Sunderland are expected to stay up. I think they've had to do a lot of catching up, and I'm not too sure whether they've caught up as much as what people say they have. I completely agree with you. There's 2 things that I'll say on this quickly. Is that if you compare this makeover of Sunderland with the makeover of Forest, when Forest stayed up in their first season, Forest should have gone down that year as well. They were stinky. They were really, really bad, and they were lucky to stay up. They stayed up because the teams that went down were so poor. I think we were one of them. So you know, they should have gone down, even though they made all them signings and they were scattergun, and I think they played 5 goalkeepers that year. I think there was 5. It was crazy, wasn't it, what they did? But they should have gone down. So people kind of say, oh well, Forest stayed up. That was an outlier, and the Sunderland backline is a real problem.
Yeah,
they've just re-signed Luke O'Nien on, you know, another deal. Like, if they're hoping that Luke O'Nien is going to be the centre back that keeps them up, they've got real problems. I like Ballard at Championship level, but he's not Premier League ready yet, I would say. They've signed the replacement goalkeeper Patterson. I think it's a stinky keeper. I think it's similar to Bellier. They've signed somebody from Serie A, I believe.
Yeah,
unproven.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for the name.
I forget the name as well.
Let me just
Trey Hume, who's just signed a new contract at left back, who I do like. I think is a good fullback, but again, he's not Premier League level. So if in and amongst their recruitment that they've made, potentially not being ready and being a little bit less kind of plug and play in comparison to our signings, they've then got a big defensive issue as well, I would say. They've also kind of thrown all of their eggs in the basket of Matt Gui, the striker from Chelsea. Yeah. He's going to be their number 9. Completely unproven. So I don't think people are being... I think if we were in Sunderland's shoes right now, people would be looking at the signings very differently from a Leeds perspective. I think because we're looking from the outside in at all the deals that they're doing, the people are just kind of losing their minds and saying, oh, Sunderland are the next best thing. So,
I'm not overly convinced myself either. So, just keeping it focused on Leeds, Carabao Cup draw was made. Sheffield Wednesday mean, crikey, we know the situation at Wednesday without getting into too much of that, but that's one that has the banana skin written all over it, doesn't it? But is it one of those where, listen, I don't want to sound disrespectful, Leeds in the FA Cup and League Cup haven't had always the greatest of runs in recent years. Is it one that, yes, you want to win games, don't get wrong about it, but that isn't a priority, is it, this season?
No, I mean, the only game that I'd have preferred less than this would have been Huddersfield away. So because it feels like such a banana skin in that, like, I can just see it now. It'll be on Sky. You know, all the drama and the build-up will be around Chanzeri. Chanzeri? No. Is it Chanzeri?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah, Chanzeri, yeah. And all of the problems, the unpaid wages, and then the Sheffield stalwarts will turn up and win 1-0. I can see it already. Barry Bannon with a free kick, probably. So yeah, I can just see it already. But you're right, absolutely right. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, whether we go through or not. If we got to the 5th round, 6th round, quarterfinal, I'd start getting excited about potentially winning a cup, because I would love to see Leeds United win a cup. Of course, I would. You know, a couple of championship titles is great, but it's not the same as winning one of the domestic honours. So I would love to see us win one, but staying in the Premier League is the absolute essential right now. But yeah, we'll deal with that when we get there.
2 or 3 seasons, I mean, you can get there, can't you? But yeah, I think definitely the priority is to stay in the division. Right, finally, Jay, before we wrap up, because we've been on for an hour, which has absolutely flown by. Thanks everyone who's been in touch. Premier League predictions, let's go for it then. Shall we say, give us your top 4 and your bottom 3 and your cup winners, domestic ones.
Okay, good one. Okay, I think Liverpool win the league again.
Yeah,
I think they are so strong.
Yeah,
I know that they showed some frailties, let's say, against Palace in the Community Shield, but they've just got so much attacking output. Arsenal will be a close second again, but Arsenal, I think that will then be seen as a bit of a failure, because they should win the league this year, given their progression and Arteta and all, you know, the building around it, what they've gone and done in the summer. They've done some huge business. I think Chelsea will be 3rd.
Okay, interesting.
And I'm gonna throw a bit of a. I know I've not even mentioned Man City yet. I feel like this might be Man City's I know last season was the demise. I think Pep will end up going this season.
During the season.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think they're going to struggle, and I just have this sneaky feeling that Thomas Frank's going to do really well at Spurs.
You think he's going to get top 4?
I think he'll be in and around. Yeah, I think Newcastle are going to have a really tough season, and I think Villa are going to have a really tough season. I think you're going to see both of them end up between 8th and 12th. That's. Okay. I'm not being disrespectful.
No,
you know I'm not. I've loved everything that Newcastle have kind of built over the last few years. I think this situation with Isaac, I think the kind of stagnation of the group and the replacements that they've made. I do like Alanga. I think Alanga's a top signing. I think you'll really enjoy watching him. Yeah. But I just see a bit of a transitional kind of moment within them 2 teams this season. So. Yeah, that's how I see it. I know it's a proper curveball, but I think Spurs are going to have a really
expecting you to say that.
Yeah, I'm putting myself out there a little bit. I won't be surprised if City completely change that and end up finishing in the top 4. But I think they're a considerable gap behind Liverpool and Arsenal right now.
Interesting. Bottom 3.
Yeah. Bottom 3, Burnley. For obvious reasons, don't need to say any blurb about that. I don't think. Brentford, I think, will go down this year. And if logic is telling me, I'd pick Sunderland. If I'm using my brain, I do have this sneaky feeling that West Ham are going to be really, really close. I think we will be close, but I think going into the last game of the season, we will already be safe.
Okay.
I think game week 35, 36, I think we'll get over the line. I think that's where.
Who have you got at the end of the season, Jay? I'm asking you, I'm putting you on the spot. Apologies. Let me look for it, because that's really unfair. Let me have a look. I mean, you've got Tottenham away on the 9th, Brighton at home on the 17th and away at West Ham on the 24th.
Imagine West Ham away on the 24th, needing a win. That'd be horrible, wouldn't it? I know we've got Man United towards the end of the season as well, because we've played them.
11th of April away, yeah.
That's how I see it go. I'm hoping that we're comfortable all season. That'd be nice. That'd be the dream. But I would imagine that we'll go on runs that suck us back in, and then we'll win a couple that'll bring us back out. And I think it'll be like that. But I think we will just have enough.
Okay.
Just have enough. I think we're capable of winning enough games against the bottom half, and then picking up the odd point here or there against the bigger teams. If you're gonna say,
yeah, I think your home form's just monumental, and I think if you can sneak the odd, I say, freak result, that's what's going to get you over the line for sure. Who do you see as a side note? FA Cup Carabao.
FA Cup Carabao. Good question. It's tricky saying it after seeing what's happened last season. Newcastle and Palace both winning cups as well. Man City will win something because they just do, right? It's the way that they roll. I'm going to say Man City will win the FA Cup, and I'm going to say Chelsea will win the Carabao.
Okay.
I think Liverpool will be really, really strong in Europe. I wouldn't be surprised to see them win the double, the Champions League and the Premier League. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I really like Liverpool. Really like the I know that Palace did a bit of a job on them, and Palace were good in I really enjoyed watching the Community Shield the other day. Like,
good game, wasn't it?
Yeah, usually it's a bit of a stink fest. Usually I could take it or leave it, but for whatever reason I decided to watch the whole thing, and I thought it was brilliant. I thought Palace were excellent in periods. Mateta is a handful. I mean, I texted you at the time and said, like, I'd be going all in on him if you get rid of Isaac. I think he's an absolute nuisance to play against.
Yeah.
And then I thought Ekatike, I mean, what a player he looks. I don't know, that's a bit of a sore one for you, but
every play's a sore topic for me. But
rumours has it that you were in for DCL, but he turned you down. So
probably. Yeah, probably. Absolutely. No, I think that's fair. That's interesting. Tottenham top 4. Interesting.
What do you think? Just give me your top 4 quickly.
Top 4.
Top 4 and bottom 3 before we finish. Let's round out with Lou. Top 4, bottom 3.
Bottom 3. And I'm judging this across the course of the season, not as is now, because things will change.
Yeah.
Burnley, Sunderland, Brentford.
Same as me there.
Top 4, I'm going champions. Arsenal.
Oh, you think they're going to do it?
Can't believe I'm saying this. Am I thinking Arsenal win it? I'm really undecided. No, I'm going to stick to the gut. I'm going to go Arsenal top. I'm going to go Liverpool second. I'm going to go Man City third. Fourth, I am going to go for... I just think somehow, and it sounds very biased of me, I just think we might squeeze into the top 4 potentially, but just because I think we'll get a couple of strikers in, and I just think based on Isaac will go at some point and they'll have to reinvest, and I think we'll get at least 2 in. I think business-wise we've done okay. We need a few more in, and I think across the course of the season, both until September, the end of this window, I mean, I think even in January we'll strengthen, and I think that will boost us. But to get potentially a £100 million plus war chest might help us in January. I think it's going to happen. I do. I think we'll start the season a little bit shaken. I think we'll grow into it. Whereas last year we actually didn't play well, but started okay with results. I think it'll be the other way around this year. I just think we've got a lot of quality that a lot of teams will struggle against, especially midfield. I think Jacob Ramsey is a perfect fit for us. I think defensively we'll look solid. It's just a strike force, which is a worry. We're potentially playing Gordon on Saturday, which we're not going to win. But if we get like Savissa and 1 or 2 others in, I think we'll be strong. And I just think, I hate to say it again, because it's not all about Newcastle, but I think Eddie Howe just somehow gets a rabbit out of the hat when it's least unexpected. But we'll see. Hopefully it does.
I hope you do. I hope you do. I think as long as we can keep on breaking up the monopoly of the top 6, or however you want to call them now, the better. It gives hope to other teams that they can keep breaking into that.
And I just think with Chelsea as well, as much as they've been decent, and the recruitment looks good on paper. I think playing constantly throughout the Club World Cup, whatever you want to call it now, they've got to burn out at some point. And I think they will burn out to a point where they might just not win as many games as what we should do to get in that top 4. I could be wrong. You'd expect, people looking at this will probably expect it, and I might be wearing black and white tinted glasses, but I think it will be a shootout between us, Chelsea. I don't think they will be as strong as what they have been, and I think you might get the odd surprise. I hate to say it, Man U, but they could stink the place out as well. That top front 3 or 4 looks strong. It's the rest of the squad that you worry about. But if they could match what they've put up front with arguably what's behind them, they'll be definitely better than what they were last year. But we're talking about Leeds, so all being more there 18th, 19th, 20th.
Me and you could talk all day, mate. Me and you could literally. I think Amorim doesn't see the season out at Man United. And I think it will then depend on who they're replacing with and how that all transitions to where they will ultimately finish. But I think they will start the season poorly. I think they'll struggle early on.
Yeah,
I think the new signings are interesting. I'm really, really keen to see how Šeško gets on because I love him.
You love him, don't you? Yeah, well, you don't love him anymore, but yeah,
I don't love him anymore. But I'm a fanboy. I am a fan. I love this type of striker that he is. Yeah. You know, very Haaland reminiscent when he started breaking through at Salzburg and just the stuff that he was doing. He's very, very reminiscent. So I think he will probably take off. Just want to finish on Arsenal.
Yeah, of course.
It's interesting that you pick Arsenal and I pick Liverpool. I think the difference between them two teams will be whether Gyökeres hits the ground running or not.
True.
If Gyökeres is the player that we think he is at Premier League level, I completely pick Arsenal because I think they've recruited really well. And I do think that they've developed. I don't like Arteta, but I like the way that he's built the squad. You know what I mean? I think if Gyökeres can get it about it and he can be good for 25, 30 goals like Haaland did in his first season, Arsenal could well win the league. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think Zubimendi's massively gone under the radar. I think he's an exceptional signing. That back two is probably arguably the strongest in the league, isn't it? You know, you can call Van Dijk and Canate, but for me, I think Saliba and Gabriel are stronger. I don't know. I'm the same as you. I'm the greatest Arteta fan now. But Gavin just said it, and the Arteta win or bust. I absolutely agree. I think there's definitely, if he doesn't win the Premier League or Champions League, I think that's the end of Arteta for Arsenal.
Yeah, sure. Probably. They're going to expect some return on investment out there now at Arsenal.
We've got to now. Yeah, they've got to. But yeah, we could talk up for hours. And you know what we might do? We might do during the day because we've got a bit of free time on our hands at the moment, haven't we, mate? So we might do. Absolutely. So we'll keep in touch with stuff. But thanks everyone who's managed to join us. I think that's about it, Jay. Is there anything else before we enjoy the rest of our weekends?
No, I'm going to go and sort my FPL team out. And then I'm going to go and watch Liverpool versus Bournemouth and enjoy the Premier League. And I'm going to get ready for Monday night. I've cleared my schedule. I can't wait, honestly. I'm so excited for Monday night. I just hope we don't get tongued. I obviously want to win the game, but I just want to enjoy it on Monday night.
Yeah.
Because I know it's going to be a slog.
I hope it does for you, mate. And for those of you who are unaware as well, Jay's got his little business going, so do give him a follow. He's got some very motivational videos. He's all about this coaching clients, etc. So if you need a little bit of, a bit of realism in your life and you're a bit anxious what your team might do, I'm sure Jay will be doing his vlogs on his socials. So with that, we'll let you enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thanks everybody who's tuned in. You can obviously catch us on YouTube and X in case you've missed us. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend. Leeds United get in action Monday night back in the Premier League against Everton. Can they do it? Jay thinks so. With that, have a good one, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.